Hello guys, so a couple days ago I tried the Slate free drums and I thought they sounded pretty good. They are free, and then I thought what would happen if I tried using everything, all the free plugins for recording, for mixing, for mastering, and see could it be done. Of course it can be done. And now I'm going to play you the clip. You decide for yourself. If you like what you're hearing, you can continue watching and see how I did it. Here it goes.
Give me fuel, give me fire. Give me that which I desire. Give me fuel, give me fire. Give me that which I desire.
First of all, I feel the need to explain some things. So this is a Reaper 5.9 something. I didn't update to Reaper 6 yet. I will. The theme that I'm using is called Fusion, Swiss edition, and I have edited it and added this frame around the track so I know which track is selected. That it's very prominent, because most tracks, most themes in Reaper, when you select a track, it's not immediately obvious to me. So you can download this theme. I will link it in the description. The second thing that I customized Reaper with is this script. I didn't make it. Some guy made it, and you can download it also on the Reaper forums. I'll link that too. This is, to me, the biggest update to Reaper you can make. I use custom actions, SWS, extensions, everything, but this is unbelievably useful. So you right click it, add, you can sort your favorite plugins as you wish, add them, delete them, copy them. You can even add sends and returns, control them from here, remove them, or open this, click like this, and then you open this window. Okay, so hardware wise, back to the audio. The microphone that I'm using is the Rode NT1A, plugged directly into the Audient ID4 USB device, using its preamps. Guitars are recorded with my Epiphone Les Paul Studio Gothic with its own stock pickups and very old strings, unfortunately. A bass guitar is recorded also directly to the DI of the Audient. It's a Yamaha RBX5. So first the drums. Let's see what we did here. So this is the mastering chain. I'll unplug it for now. For drums, as I said, I used Steven Slate drums. I think I didn't tweak them much, maybe some things, but nothing special. On the drums bass, I'm using TDR Kotelnikov. I'm not gonna say free again in this video, because everything here is free. I'm using the drum bass preset. I have probably tweaked the threshold or something. That's on the bass. Then on the kick in, I'm using the Ignite Amps Pultec emulation, and what I'm doing here is the typical Pultec trick for the kick, boosting and attenuating the same frequency at the same time. It's doing a lot of things nicely. So just doing this over here, yeah, nothing more. And I'm using the Klanghelm DC1A3 compressor. I think it's doing quite a lot. Let's see, where is it here? Yeah, a lot of gain reduction. After it, the only thing that I have added to the drums are two samples. First is the kick sample, and I'm also using a snare sample. These two samples are something that I made myself from various other samples, combined, edited, EQ'd, whatever. So you can listen to the sample. Okay, and the snare sample. The snare sample that I'm using is like a click, gunshot something. And the very good thing in Reaper is the way you can trigger a sample by audio. So I have opened a new track, set this free thing that comes with Reaper, which is audio to MIDI drum trigger, meaning that when this plugin receives audio of certain threshold, it can trigger a MIDI note, which you can specify here. And after that, I'm using the RIA Samplomatic 5000 and triggering a kick. So meaning this kick makes a hit and it's triggering this thing that is a sample. I'm using then a kick in from the, I'm using two kick ins. Oh yeah, I copied the two kick in tracks and just EQ them differently, use different plugins. Then I'm using, this is a snare bus or a folder, group actually. So there's a snare top, snare sample that is triggered on the same way that I showed you with the kick. There's snare bottom, snare ring. The snare ring is quite low in the mix. Literally just a ring. I'm using MJUC Junior on the fast setting. It's actually more doing level, I think, than compression. No. Also, there is compression. Then, on the snare sample, I'm using an Aural River reverb to add it more space. Where is it? Here it is. Because the sample itself is quite clicky and I wanted to give it more room. On the snare top, I'm using MJUC Junior once again. On the slow settings, PTEQX, which is doing what it is doing. It's boosting 8K quite a bit and 2K for some. And then one RIA EQ that's doing a lot of things. Boosting 200 for the body, cutting the mid-range, and boosting high-end for the smack, however you want to call it. So these snares are all grouped into one group, and I'm using, I'm using Marvel Graphical EQ by Voxengo, which is doing some more 200 and some more high-end for the snare to be more prominent. All these snares are sent to a bus, Snare Crush. Over here I'm using Modern 7 Sine, which is obviously 1176 emulation. All buttons in, slowest attack, fastest release, and we are getting a lot of gain reduction, probably around 20 or something. Yeah, it's compressing the schnizzle out of the snare, like Warren Hewart would say. Afterwards we have hi-hat. I don't think it's actually playing in this part that I recorded, but over here somewhere, yeah, here it is. Come on, compressing and leveling it and using some EQ. So without it, it's quite low in the mix. Afterwards, overheads. Modern Lost Angel, made by Antres. It's a copy of LA2A, doing, let's see how much. Not too much, 2 to 3 decibels of gain reduction. RIA EQ that is cutting all the low end and boosting high end. A1 stereo control, great plugin that is spreading the overheads. Sorry, it's spreading the overheads so they are more wide and some saturation. Let's see with these two plugins. I will put them in solo, without, and with. It's doing a lot, helping the overheads to stay on the sides of the stereo image. Room, I'm using MJUC, And yeah, I'm having a kick snare crush track, which is something that Andrew Scheps does. We are feeding the kick in and the kick snare sample and all the snares to this track, and I'm parallelly just importing it, just sliding it into the mix of the drums. And we are using it -9. The minus is not showing for some reason. And let's see. It's doing a lot of compression. Yeah, it's smashing it. And afterwards I'm using Transpire, which is a transient designer. I really love this plugin. So, all the drums together. Let's see, are they all... yeah. Sorry, just the drums. Okay, that's it. Then, bass guitar. Here is how the bass sounds on its own. I played it once and copied the track 2 more times, quite common thing to do, and EQ'd all the tracks differently and used different amps, like this. So this is the direct signal. Once again, sorry. I've added some Bass Professor, amazing plugin that I only learned about a couple days ago. It's a bass guitar enhancer. It's like an amp and an EQ, everything. It sounds great. Let me just put only the Bass Professor. Sounds amazing. Leveling tool, LA2A emulation made by ADHD. Really good. It has more controls. It has attack and release, which the original LA2A doesn't have. And after that, I'm using the Loud Max for more, just for some limiting. So that's it. Then the second track is a gritty one. Oh, sorry. So, Bass Professor, leveling tool, amplitude 4 on the Mesa Triple Rectifier plugin, which also has a Stomp Box, yeah. RIA EQ, cutting all the low end, Loud Max controlling the volume, and DD channel. This is my favorite channel strip plugin. It's amazing. Low passing, 3.7. Boosting quite a bit at 1100, and that's it. Yeah. So let's hear this track with all the plugins. Okay, and now, last but not the least, the third bass track, Soft Amp, obviously what it is emulating, and again the DD channel. On the DD channel I'm cutting quite a bit of mid-range, and I think I'm doing it again here, yeah. High pass 23 Hz, really needed. Low pass at 10K, limiter that is actually doing the clipping. This clip thing is amazing. It's like a distortion clipper something. Without it, I really like what it is doing. So, all the bass tracks together, without the processing that I'm doing on the folder. And on the folder, I have DD channel and RIA EQ. RIA EQ is doing some high pass, sorry, and some mid-range boost. And on the DD channel, I am doing what? I'm cutting some 950 Hz and boosting quite a bit of low end. Tiny bit of clipper, and that's the bass. Okay, for guitars, there are a lot of plugins that I use on the guitars. One note, as I said, there are all free plugins. This Mesa triple rectifier is free at the time. It's a limited offer, so maybe if you watch this video later, it will probably cost some money. But I made it for free. So, on the guitars, this is a folder that contains all the guitars. Let's just see first the two right guitars. They are quite thin, not thin, because I wanted them to fit with the bass. I wanted the bass to be dominating a bit. The first guitar, 100% right, TSC, amplitude 4 with on the channel 2 on the Mesa, with the stomp box, without the cab. Cab is turned off. For cab simulation, I'm using Ignite's Nadir and two IRs. First is a Catharsis, S press high, and the second one is some I found online, Sad But True stereo IR. So somebody obviously did something with Metallica's Sad But True. That, some RIA EQ and some Pultec EQ. What am I doing here? I am boosting 1.5 and that's it. Yeah, that's it, obviously. The second right guitar, I'm using TSC 1.1, which is the Ibanez Tube Screamer emulation without any gain, just for boost. Ignite Emissary and Ignite Nadir. Also, I'm using these two IRs that I found online. Just Google them. This is how the second right guitar sounds. Sorry. These two together. And without the all guitar processing. Okay, now left guitars. As you may hear, they are not played so correctly. Yeah, it's terrible actually, but I think for presentation purposes you can understand what is going on. Let me see. So, left guitars. I have Grid Smasher by Mercurial, triple rectifier, also without the cab simulation. Do I have the stomp? Yeah, I have it. Ignite Nadir, Catharsis, and these IR that I found online. And we have some Pultec EQ. What I'm doing here is I am boosting, attenuating some 10K, boosting 6K. And on this Pultec emulation, this thing is amazingly powerful. And it sounds great, really, really musical. I just think that they didn't have to call it dip, they should call it remove completely, because this 0.5 or something at 700 is doing so much. Take a listen. You'll maybe even more hear it when I play you the mastering processing. But amazing plugin. That's all I wanted to say. So, the second left guitar. Guitar hacks, impulses. This impulse I found online, TSC X50 and Mercurial Grid Smasher. All great plugins, and you may see that I'm using a really low gain. No gain here, very low pre-gain and post-gain. Okay. These two left guitars with the channel processing. So I'm using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 EQs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 EQs. And now let's just close them all. With EQ. Now without EQ. Yeah, I needed 5 EQs for that. And I think I just copied these settings to two guitars that are playing more in the center. 20% right and left. Let's hear them too. So 5 more EQs like used before. Grid Smasher, Amplitude 4, Ignite, Pultec on the 20% right, and on the 20% left, Grid Smasher, TSEX50, Ignite. And on the, that's what I said, sorry. And now all guitars and all the processing that I'm doing to the group of the guitars is 1 EQ saturation, EQ, this is TDR Nova, great EQ, Pultec, MGUC to glue it all together a bit, some reverb, some Pultec more, again, and some more EQ. Let's see. So with this group processing, I'm thinning out the guitars. The TDR Nova, this one, I did this for because I noticed that there's some buildup at this 140-50 hertz frequency, so that's the reason why it's here. Vocals, you might recognize these lyrics from somewhere.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. Give me fuel.
Yeah, I was not in the mood for making lyrics, so I just sang big air quotations, the first thing that came to my mind. So these are quite a few tracks on vocals. I'll just mute them for now, and I'll just solo this thing and remove all the vocal processing. I think I did some. Sorry?
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that.
I remember doing some vocal automation, but whatever. So, we are using 1, 2, 3. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 different compressors. First is this one, leveling tool by ADHD, then the Klanghelm, then the modern 7th sign, then the Klanghelm. I like to do this serially, serial compressing, meaning each compressor doing a tiny bit. Take a listen.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
You can see that each compressor is doing 3 decibels at most. The 2 MGUCs are doing, what, 1 or 2?
Give me fuel, give me fire.
I just want to level the vocals so they are consistently in volume. After the first 3 compressors, I'm using TDR's Slick EQ. Then de-esser made by Air Windows. This is amazing de-esser. Very, very transparent, can be very aggressive or very subtle. Doesn't have a graphic user interface, so you just tweak these. Pultec on the vocal group, EQ compressor, like I said, more de-esser after the compressor, more de-esser after the compressor, more Pultec, saturation knob, and a DD channel. Some EQ, high pass, low pass, clipper, tiny bit of clipper. That's it. What I like to do is I like to parallel process the vocals, meaning I'll send all this that you just heard to a couple of buses. First bus is Vox Crush. So over here I'm smashing the shit out of the vocals. Take a listen.
Give me fuel, give me fire.
Really distorted. I'm using the 1175 that comes with Reaper. All buttons in. Slowest attack, fastest release, and we are looking at around 20 or 30 probably decibels of gain reduction.
Give me fuel, give
Yeah, 30 decibels of gain reduction, 1 de-esser after it. Then I'm also sending this vocal to a Vox Pultec channel, which is from Andrew Sheps. So we have a Pultec that is attenuating the low end, boosting the 8K, going into an LA2A that is smashing it, and going again to a Pultec that is giving back all the low end that it was boosting the low end and cutting the 8K. So it gives more intelligibility to the vocals. On its own, it's bright and lispy and whatnot, and all together,
Give me fuel, give me fire. Give me fuel, give me fire.
makes it a bit more intelligible. Vox Doubler. This is a great trick. I'm using Vocal Doubler by iZotope, free plugin. And sorry, it's doubling the vocals doing something like a chorus thing. Take a listen.
Give me fuel, give me fire.
After it, I'm using the channel just to clip it. And I'm using the A1 stereo control to spread it a bit. So, quite a bit. With and without the A stereo channel control.
Give me fuel, give me fire. Give me that which I desire.
I want these chorused vocals to be on the sides. And after that, we have slap delay. I'm using RIA EQ to thin out the thing that is feeding the delay. I'm using probably around 30 or something. Yeah, around 30 milliseconds of delay on single mode, not ping pong, and soft clipping saturation. Here's just the slap.
Give me fuel, give me fire.
And after it, I'm using a reverb that is side chain to the vocal, meaning the vocal is lowering the volume of the verb while it's singing, and after the vocal stops singing, you can hear the verb more. It's a typical thing. I like to do it on verbs and delays, and traditionally kick and the bass ducking. Let's take a listen to the verb.
Give me fuel, give me fire.
You can see that we are getting around 10 decibels of gain reduction. I'm using Oriel River and also EQ, RIA EQ, just to feed the reverb, not all low frequencies at high frequencies, just the mid-range. So here are just the vocals.
Give me fuel, give me fire. Give me that which I desire. Give me.
I should probably automate these breaths here, but for the purpose of this video, I'm not going to do it. So let's listen to all the tracks.
Give me
From the beginning.
Give me fuel, give me fire. Give me that which I desire.
This is without my processing on the master bus, and you could see that it is clipping a bit. I don't care that it's like clipping 1 or 2 decibels before the mastering. It's not gonna hurt the plugins. So let's turn on the mastering chain. What do we have here? We have TDR Kotelnikov on the, I guess it's a preset. From here I probably tweaked the threshold a bit, maybe the makeup gain. PTEQX, again the Pultec. It's doing tiny bit at 700. It's tiny bit, but does so much. And also we are boosting 10K. Then we have an IFGI2 that is driving the high frequencies, saturating them. We have a Marvel GEQ, which is a great plugin. Really transparent, so is the Kotelnikov is really transparent. And let me get back to the Voxengo. It's really transparent and has a lot of options. You can do 7/1 surround, whatever. I chose to use mid side for mastering. So on the mid, meaning in the center of the stereo image, I'm boosting low end, cutting a tiny bit of middle frequencies and boosting the high end. On the sides, which are now these white knobs, I'm cutting low end. I don't want low end in the sides. I want guitars which are quite in the higher frequencies, doing nothing or very little in the mid-range and boosting so high end. So we are looking at the top is 2.6 decibels at 12K on the sides. That's the biggest change. Over here, okay, we have a bigger change here, 3.7, but it's not too crazy. And now when you take a listen to what these three things, which are not, like I'm saying, doing anything crazy, how much difference to sound does it make? Take a listen without these EQ and saturation. And now with. It is a bit smiley face EQ. It sounds to me much tighter, much more mastered. After that, I'm using the Loud Max for brick wall limiting, just a bit of threshold lowered, so I'm guessing maybe 2 decibels of gain reduction. Just occasionally. And now I like to monitor my loudness, and I don't like to be too loud. Minus 10 decibels LUFS, minus 10 LUFS, that's okay. That's not too loud, nor is it too silent. So that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope I showed you some plugins that you maybe didn't know about. And I like to thank the developers of these plugins, because it's amazing what you can now do with just free things. Thank you. Bye bye.